رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. Without further ado, I will just go straight to the presentation because we have already started late and I'm already pressed limited time. So the title of the paper is Epistemological Apparatus of Risale-i Nur. Before presentation, it's my pleasure just to introduce myself. I have completed my honors and masters from international relations. Right now working as a researcher. Currently I am a student of philosophy. That is what I love to introduce myself at the moment. So the basics of the paper, objective is attempt to frame epistemological structure of Risale-i Nur. Two basic questions is what are the main epistemological elements did Nursi employ? Then the last question, what differences his epistemological approaches with other Mufassirun? The methodology was simple, primarily based on quick textual survey that I did. For this paper, I read more than 6,000 pages of Risale-i Nur from this particular website. Sorry. So, okay, the central argument of the paper is, I think that the methodology can be framed an inclusive hermeneutic formulation that come from fundamentally three epistemic approaches in Risale-i Nur. First, conceptual clarity through lexical analysis, reflected judgment based on empirical probes, and the last, intuitive arrival or certainty. So, at the first, I think it is important to clarify that the Risale-i Nur is not a philosophical paper or philosophical treatise. Rather, it is a thematic commentary of the Quran that I think contains epistemological insight and discipline argument among others. The structure is, the paper is divided in three parts. First part is factors of intellectual consciousness of Ustad Sayyid Nursi, and the second part is epistemological approaches and consideration in intellectual exercise, and the third and main part of the paper is epistemic patterns, features, and epistemological approaches of Risale-i Nur. And finally, I tried to locate Al-Ustad Sayyid Nursi in philosophical province. So first, it is important to look at very briefly to epistemology. Epistemology is basically theories of knowledge that can be defined as a study of knowledge and justified through belief, as defined by the Western philosophical studies. Some of the epistemological questions might be: what are the nature of human knowledge? How human mind is capable of knowing, and what are the limits and sophistications of knowledge as an enterprise? So now the concept of knowledge. In Islamic epistemological approaches, Ilim comes from Ain, Lam, Mim as a masdar, but that is also related to the Alamin. That means there are so many worlds. In the Western philosophical approaches, we see only one world, that is sensual world. But in Islamic epistemology, there are so many worlds, afaq and dunya and akhirah. So on that perspective, we define knowledge, ilmul yaqeen, ainul yaqeen, and haqqul yaqeen. And haqqul yaqeen is a very subjective matter in Western philosophy. So now, in the context of Al-Ustad Nursi, the notion of knowledge presumably who would endorse knowledge as justified through belief. But there is a big but. In justification, as we understand Nursi's epistemic parlance, justification comes from rational enterprise but not limited to it. Rather, justification grounded in deep lexical analysis, reflective judgment, intuitive arrival, and certainty. So, as considering the limited time, I am just going to the research findings among others. So, the epistemological structure of Risale-i note that what I understood. Epistemologically, Risale-i note applies science as an epistemic enterprise to understand the cosmology at play and its ultimate purpose. In that context, what is the place of human and pathways of human entities? In this context, I found that in Risale-i note marked human being as a rational being and spiritual being. As we know, in the Western philosophy, only rational being, but of course Plato defines a spiritual being, but that is the scholarly debate. And the next, that there are some epistemic aspects of Risale-i note that I explored, that is combined and comprehensive method that comprise reflexivity, observational facts, laws of monolithic oneness, in other words Tawheed, contemplation, which can be in Arabic tafakkur and tadabbur, but there is a difference between tadabbur and tafakkur, and the last, cosmic and divine reflection. So I am at the end of my presentation. So based on the findings in my research, I tried to devise epistemic formulation like that. But just let me clarify. In Risale-i note, there is not like that something epistemic formulation or Nursian epistemology. But as a student of philosophy, I tried to look a new perspective Risale-i note. Then I explored that there is a systemic method Ustad Nursi employed. For example, this start from here, circle is observation. First comes observations, then comes scientific induction, and the third inferred description, which is followed by reason, reflection, and analysis. And then come, as we see, Quranic truth. Based on this methodology, he arrived at Quranic truth. And the last, there is some ideals he just positioned to advocate or to inculcate. And then the last is based on this methodology, there is a normative framework, as I understood. So lastly, just I will take this 2 minutes more. Another approach of my paper was to locate Ustad Nursi in the philosophical province. So in the philosophy, as we see, this method is very important because most of the Mufassirun before that, they just tried to attempt Quranic meanings, not to tackle scientificity or other philosophical methods. But Ustad Nursi, as I understood, he tried to combine comprehensive methodology, as he was oriented to the Western science and also Islamic classical sciences. So in that perspective, I think and I believe, also I am confident that the study of Nursi in a philosophical discipline will be very important, and we will get new insight from this. Thank you very much.